and welcome to Simply Economics. This is our second video on the production possibility curve where we'll be covering all the applications of the PPC. So, to begin with, let's understand what the applications we are going to talk about. First is economic growth, then it's economic degrowth or depression, economic recession, scarcity, choice, and zero opportunity cost. So I'll be talking about some, these are the key applications, alright, the main questions that will be asked for your exams, but there are some hidden applications also which I will discuss whilst doing these applications. So the first one, economic growth. Now, take a good look at the PPCs, alright, there's PPC 1 and PPC 2. So economic growth is presented in a PPC by an outward shift of the PPC. Now this is simple logic. Now we know that the production possibility curve denotes the maximum production possibility capacity. So if it shifts outwards, that means this maximum production capacity increases, which means that the GDP, the production of the economy will increase, leading towards an economic growth. This is a long-term process, alright? And one place where most students get confused, now think on your own, whether economic growth is from point A to B or from point C to D. Now I told you all, it's when the PPC shifts outwards. So when the production changes from A to B, the production possibility curve does not shift outwards. Alright, so I will explain to you what shifting from A to B is later. Now, what are the reasons for this production possibility curve to shift? Alright, first reason is the increase in productive resources. Now, we had a certain amount of resources to produce at PPC 1. Alright, now just imagine if we are making good A and good B and we need wood. We had 100 tons of wood to produce good B and good A at point C. Now we have 500 tons of wood, so we can produce more of good B and more of good A. Alright, so and due to population growth, a rise in labor force. Now these are theoretic examples. Then increase of productivity and quality of resources. Alright, so look at this. Due to training, the current labor force become more skilled and efficient. So a guy who used to make just one chair will be now making 2 chairs from the same amount of wood. Alright, so the amount of resources haven't changed, but the productivity and quality of those resources have changed. And technological improvements, new machines that will increase productivity. So a guy with the earlier machine, you could make 1 chair. Now you can make 2 chairs from the same amount of wood. Alright, so those are the reasons for economic growth. Then economic depression is the opposite of economic growth. Now this is also a long-term process. Remember that economic depression, which is shown by an inward shift, is a long-term process. So what happens here? The curve shifting inwards reveals a reduction in the production possibility, alright, which is bad. Why? Let's look at the reasons how it happens. So war or diseases causing a reduction of labor force, obviously destruction of resources, alright, or natural disasters and wars leading to the destruction of factors of production. There's no land, there's no labor, there's no capital, so you can't, how can you produce? Alright, so a country was producing at a certain amount, but then there's a war, so the employees are killed, and then there's no factories, so gradually the production capacity of that economy falls. And then reduction in labor productivity. Alright, so maybe people start going on strikes, they don't want to work or whatever, and then the productivity of the labor falls, and technological deterioration. Alright, so due to these reasons, so these are basically the opposites of the reasons for economic growth. Now I'm gonna talk about economic recession right after economic depression, because this is a question, mostly you can see this in MCQs where they try to confuse you all. Alright, so understand this. Economic recession is a short-term process. Now I told you all economic depression is a long-term process. So what happens is a prolonged recession will cause a depression. Now what is a recession? Look at this. It's a point leading inside to the curve. So in the economic depression, okay, how it happened was due to a drop in the production capacity, production possibility. All right, here it's just a drop in production. A temporary drop in production causes this. All right, so certain amount of resources are left unemployed when a recession happens. All right, so that's clear. Next we have scarcity. Okay, so tell me which point is scarcity, which point denotes scarcity. It's obvious, it's point X. Why is that? Any point beyond the PPC curve denotes scarcity. Why? Now points B, D and C, when you are producing at these points, you use all the resources you have in your economy. Now if you want to produce at point X, alright, you need more of those resources, but you don't have it. So that's exactly how we denote scarcity, through a production possibility curve. Alright, so very simple stuff. And then point A, so point X is basically a very efficient point. Now B, D and C are efficient points. Okay, X is also an efficient point, but it's unattainable, while A is an attainable point, but it is inefficient. Why is it inefficient? Because it doesn't use all the resources the economy has. So full employment of resources does not happen there. Therefore production efficiency is not there at point A. Right? And then choice. These are the very basic concepts of economics that we are learning to denote through a production possibility curve. Alright, now since resources are scarce, we have to choose between alternative uses. We know that. Okay, PPC denotes the production combinations which we can choose from. So you can either produce at point B or C or D. Okay, so these are combinations we have to choose from. So that's exactly how we are going to denote choice on a PPC, by marking the points along the production possibility curve. Very simple. Finally, it's zero opportunity cost that we are going to show. Now point D is a point inside the curve. What does that mean? It's a point that denotes, yes, unemployed resources. Okay, unemployment. Certain resources are not yet used. So what if the economy is going out from point D towards the production possibility curve? Now this means that when the production, so zero opportunity cost, we learned, is when a production can be carried out without having to sacrifice another product. Okay, without having an opportunity cost basically. So how that happens, how we denote that, is by revealing how unemployed resources are used to achieve production, the maximum production possibility. Now we learned what economic growth is. Now we are going to learn about the opportunity cost of economic growth. Why? Because economic growth too has an opportunity cost. Now take a look at this PPC and assume we are producing at the point C2, K2. Now if you want your economy to grow, alright, that is for the production possibility curve to shift outwards, at what point should you be producing? At C1, K1, C3, K3, or continue producing at C2, K2? Now if you were the leader of your country, what would you decide? The answer to that question is point C3, K3. Why? Because you are allocating more of your resources in order to produce capital goods, whilst, here comes the opportunity cost, while sacrificing a certain amount of consumer goods. Alright, so what basically happens here is you decide to produce more capital goods. Then what happens? When you have more capital in your economy, you can produce more goods and services. So basically having more capital means you are increasing the capacity of your production possibility, which will lead to an economic growth after a long period of time. However, it's not a short term thing, but it's a long term thing. However, this is a realistic thing. Right now, I told you in most PPCs it's just in theory, but this can be done practically. Alright, countries like Singapore started doing this about 20 years ago, whilst we remained consuming as always, and we are still in the same place. But now it's clear to you all how, in order for economic growth to take place, more resources have to be allocated to produce more capital goods, therefore having to sacrifice the resources allocated to the production of consumer goods. Therefore, the opportunity cost of economic growth is having to sacrifice consumer goods. Finally, the final use of the PPC that we'll be learning about is that the PPC helps in identifying the economically efficient point. Alright, now on the first PPC, you can see how production efficiency is denoted in the PPC. We know how production efficiency takes place. It takes place when both full employment and full production are satisfied. Alright, so that is any point on the production possibility curve. However, producing at any of these points will not be the best thing for the economy, because it's not the economically efficient point. So we are lacking something apart from production efficiency, which is allocative efficiency. Now allocative efficiency point is where marginal benefits equal marginal cost. That is where demand and supply are equal in the economy. You will be learning more about this in demand and supply. However, what you have to know is producing at this point is most beneficial to the economy. So when you combine both these types of efficiencies, you can find the economically efficient point. Alright, so now that's the final use of the PPC2 has been discussed. I hope that you understood all the concepts, basics and uses of the production possibility curves. So see you again in our next video, where we'll be discussing about the economic systems, which is the final part of our first unit.